April 1996, a gunman killed 35 people at a resort in the Australian state of Tasmania. 12 days later, Australian Prime Minister John Howard announced sweeping gun reforms. A national gun buyback program that took up to 1 million guns out of circulation. A ban on rapid-fire rifles and shotguns. A 28-day waiting period to buy a gun. And a national registry for would-be gun owners. How did those reforms work?
Their rates of gun violence decline quite substantially, both with respect to homicides and with suicides, and they virtually eliminated fatal mass shootings.
Since Australia's gun control laws went into effect in 1996, mass shootings have gone from almost once a year to almost never, with only one since that time. And John Howard later pointed out his government was able to get that done, even though he's a political conservative.
There was a lot of resistance inside sections of my own political base, but even the most cynical, sceptical person would acknowledge that we have made a big difference with that prohibition.
Hungerford, England, 1987. A man used 2 semi-automatic rifles and a handgun to kill 16 people. The British government responded by banning semi-automatic and pump-action weapons. 9 years later, after a gunman killed 16 children and their teacher in Dunblane, Scotland, Britain announced a law banning the private ownership of all handguns. Britain now has one of the lowest rates of gun-related deaths among developed countries. In New Zealand, after massacres at 2 mosques that left 50 people dead in 2019, the government was praised for immediately banning military-style semi-automatic weapons and announcing a gun buyback program. New Zealand, Australia, Britain, all countries that, like the U.S., had a culture of gun ownership before those mass shootings. But analysts say they don't see the changes those countries made happening in America.
The right to own a gun, the Second Amendment, is a huge part of American culture, and I think that's really affected the political dynamics, the political will of being able to get anything done.
It's the simple structure of our government in the United States that gives substantially undue power to low population, mostly rural states that are not too keen on gun control.
The analysts we spoke to believe the best the U.S. could do at this point is expand background checks, expand red flag laws, the state laws that allow police or family members to petition to take guns away from people believed to pose a danger to themselves or others, and institute more oversight of gun dealers. But they say even those modest steps could still make a difference. Brian Todd, CNN, Washington.